You want to buy some death sticks?
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks.
You want to go home and rethink your life.
I want to go home and listen to this episode of the Retro Rewind podcast.
That's not what I said.
Reflux capacitor fluxing. Crew to stations. Scanning for Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. Prepare to rewind in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, Rewinders and new listeners, to the Retro Rewind podcast, where we take a fresh look at movies and games from 15 or more years ago. I am your captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz, and I'm joined by your XO and mine, Paul, the Master Interrupter, white lightsaber-wielding powers.
Me's honored to be taking this heavy burden. Me's accept this with the muy humility.
Also, for this discussion of Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, we welcome aboard for the first time Chicagoland author, podcaster, creative procrastinator, and yellow lightsaber wielder, Catherine Squids Zerwinski. I knew I was going to butcher that name. Is it Zerwinski? Did I get that right?
Sirwinski.
Sirwinski.
Yeah.
Welcome, Squids. How are you doing?
Good. I did not prepare an impersonation for this, so I'm going to be playing myself this evening.
Does that mean I have better for it?
Does that mean you have to be Jar Jar the whole episode? Dang it.
Yeah. Yeah, you.
Haha, locked yourself in, XO. And joining Squids in this Star Wars discussion, we welcome back aeronautical engineer and streamer, blue lightsaber wielder, Ken Cummings. And Ken, this is your third time on the podcast.
You betcha.
Do you know?
Number 3.
Do you know what that means?
Nope. What does that mean? Am I now in charge?
Yoda.
Master.
No, you're not in charge
Master
by a
Kenneth,
long
then.
shot. You are now an official crew member, though.
Yeah.
Congrats, Ken. What department on the ship would you like to serve in? We have the engineering department. I know you're an aeronautical engineer, but do you want to serve somewhere else?
What you got?
Lots of things. You use your own creativity. Even though that one time Colin said the art department, I said, no, we can't serve there.
Yeah.
How about a communications officer? I can stream all that goes on in the ship to the rest of the universe.
We only have like one of those, I think. So yes, we'll go with another communications officer. Thank you, Ken. Awesome. And welcome. Congratulations on becoming a shipman. Yes. And now that you have a quick flyby of who we are, Paul, can you give us a quick overview of the production specs for Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones?
All right. Django Unchained came out December 25th in 2012.
Where's the tie-in with that? Your other ones make sense on other podcasts. This one
Obi-Wan
makes
had Django wrapped up, and then he cut loose, and then he became Unchained, so it's Django Unchained.
I was there with you, Paul.
Tarantino.
Wow. How about Attack of the Clones, Paul, from 2002?
Oh, the 2002 one. Well, if you're going to be specific about it, fine.
Yeah, I will be. Or you will be.
Star
Yes,
Wars Episode II, Attack of the Clones, was released May 12th in the year 2002. It runs 22 minutes over the 2-hour mark, and people can feel it because it's rated PG and directed by George Lucas. It was also written by George Lucas and Jonathan Hales, with lead stars being Hayden Christensen, Natalie Portman, and Ewan McGregor. The music was composed by Johns Billiams. Wow, I can't even get John Billiams' name right.
Seriously?
No, it was actually
a classic like that.
I know, sorry. But it was lovely to hear John Williams' score in this.
Yes.
All right, are you ready for the box office trivia?
I have no idea at this point. Maybe I am, but Squids, Ken, are you guys ready?
Yep.
I wasn't ready.
All right,
Since
well,
before. I don't know.
Why should you be ready now?
gotta be ready now. And everyone here watching live, interacting with us live, hopefully you're ready. Paul, go for it.
All right. Star Wars 2, Attack of the Clones, was made for about $115 million and earned over $650 million at the box office. Now, given this and the fact that it was released theatrically in the year 2002, how high do you think it ranks among the other movies released theatrically in 2002? We'll go for the top 50.
Top 50, okay.
Just to give Sour Bobo his
Oh, for his 42. All right. Squids, where do you think it placed in the top 50 of 2002 movies?
Oh, of all 2002. Heavens. Well, I hope it's 50, but I feel like it's going to be... We're going to go with 11.
11. All right. How about you, Ken?
Well, it's episode 2, so 2. Number 2.
Nice.
Ooh,
I hope
okay,
not.
2. I'm going to Price is Right, Ken, and say 3. In chat, we have, let's see, Star Fox says number 2.
Almost said
let's
8,
see.
but I feel like that's not. I really hope it's much higher.
There you go. 2, and actually that's the only one I'm seeing. So I guess just Star Fox says number 2. So we'll go with that. Paul, where did it actually place?
Actually placed in number 4.
Oh,
Price is Right gets
that
him
means-
every time.
That means I'm the closest.
Yes, you win, Captain. You little cheater. But yes,
How's that cheat?
because in Price is Right, the last person to guess has the advantage.
Is it cheating if I still spay and neuter my pets?
No, go for it.
Okay.
Hey, there's a lot of
right.
people saying number 4 in the chat.
Delayed reaction.
All right. Well,
All
fine. then.
right.
Ashley, Star
Game
Fox,
on.
and Ashley and Star Fox win. I only kind of win, but let's continue. I appreciate those factoids, Paul, and let's see if any of them factor into our memory mind meld or subsequent roundtable discussion, which we'll get into once Alice has located our target film.
Alert, alert. Approaching target. Spoilers incoming. Establishing analysis vector.
Anakin, don't do anything without first consulting either myself or the Council.
He's holding me back.
I'm a Jedi.
A Jedi! What do you know?
The boy has exceptional skills.
His abilities have made him arrogant.
You're not all powerful, Anakin.
Well, I should be.
I see you becoming the greatest of all Jedi.
No, Anakin, no!
Rated PG.
Oh, do you remember the hype back then? And they would make fake trailers, and you were like, "Oh no, that's not the right one."
What? That never
Yeah.
happened. I know what we're talking about. Hype or no hype, definitely that trailer brings back some memories of Star Wars 2, Star Wars Episode 2. And here is our memory mind meld synopsis of this film. Padme being hunted. Anakin and Obi-Wan are in a car chase, and we find out Ewan McGregor doesn't like driving. Aliens giving Obi-Wan a clone army without checking his ID. Can I have a clone army? They are impressive. Anakin and Padme romance and get married while Obi actually works and fights to Jango Fett on Genghis Khaninosis. Wow. Chancellor Palpatine comes to power and creates a clone army. Padme doesn't need no man to save her. Then Anakin loses hand in saber duel. Padme goes against her better judgment and marries the creep with the cold hands anyway. Well, some of that certainly was correct, but other bits of it were
Also correct.
decepted. But based on those memories as totally flawed, completely flawed as they were, what rating did they lead you to predict for this film before rewatching it? Classic, nostalgic, or tragic? Let's start with Squids. What's your rating? Or what was your prediction?
my
Not your final
prediction.
rating. Your prediction, yeah.
I cheated. I don't know if cheating is allowed, but I cheated.
The captain cheated. Why not you?
It's true. So I wrote down my prediction on my little notebook, and I put nostalgically tragic because I thought I'm gonna love this and it's gonna suck, and I was wrong about one of those.
Yeah. So how are you going to handle that? How would you categorize that, or just leave it as it is?
nostalgic. We're
All
just
right.
going to go with nostalgic.
Yeah.
Ken, how about you?
Classic. Star Wars. Classic.
Classically nostalgic.
No, classic. Classic.
Oh, all right. Paul, how about you?
You know, I haven't watched this since the sequel trilogy, and the sequel trilogy really made me appreciate the prequel trilogy. So I said classic because
Okay. So 2 classics.
Yeah.
For me, I'm gonna be very blunt. I forgot to put down my rating before I rewatched it, but I'm pretty sure I would have said nostalgic if I gave it some thought. So my retroactive prediction is nostalgic. It'll be interesting to see if those
cheats.
If those predictions pan out. But first, let's get into the things we liked most about Attack of the Clones. Let's spin up our
Best 3.
but best 2 in this case, since we have 2 awesome guests. And let's start with Squids. What's one thing you liked about Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones?
Yeah, what is one thing I liked about it? Well...
Stop tipping your hat, Squids.
My number one thing
No,
that
this is number two. Like,
okay, number 2
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, save
Boy,
your
they're
best
just
for
so
last.
close, you know?
Mine are too.
The one... Wait, I can't say that. The one of the many parts that I liked about this movie...
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah. The line when Anakin jumps out of the speeder and Ewan McGregor, being himself in the movie, said, I hate it when he does that. And I went, oh, look, they have history. We don't get to see any of it because this movie only tells me everything. But boy, look at them riffing with one another, having history.
Yeah.
Loved that.
I like that
Haha,
as
it
well.
was fun.
Yeah. You know, and that kind of goes into something I liked and enjoyed about this film was Obi-Wan's dialogue, Ewan McGregor. I was drawn to the movie whenever he was on screen. I really enjoyed whenever he is on screen doing stuff, except when he is just saying, Anakin, don't do that. Stuff like on part of that. That was, I didn't care for that. But everything else, like him investigating what's going on with the clones and what's it called? The not Geonosis.
Geonosis.
Camino.
Oh.
Yeah, just that whole thing, that sort of detective story in that part I really enjoyed. And everything, most of his stuff I really loved, especially his line where he's on Camino, and I think he's telling R4, send a signal to the old folks home, which he meant Mace Windu and Yoda's.
Yeah.
Which, a little quibble, how is an AI that requires a whole casing? So this is like old tech. It requires a whole casing just to hold all the modules and probably vacuum
You're
tubes.
talking about R4?
Yes, R4.
Okay,
How
it's a
is
droid.
it going to interpret old folks home to mean the Jedi
Well, there are certain
temple?
phrases that you can have it learn, and
It's
it
like
can.
autocorrect.
Yeah.
Your
I don't
autocorrect
think
learns
it's
you.
I have Siri call me Jedi Master. That's my nickname. It's a give and take relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, never mind, guys. I guess, okay, my quibble's done.
Yeah.
Thanks for helping me with that. Oh, goodness.
But I did like Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. He's certainly more lighthearted in this than
Yes.
episode 1.
Yeah.
He's becoming more of his own and older, and he's more relaxed in his role, and he can be his own person and try to be more like Alec Guinness, I guess.
Do any of you, and Ken, feel free to speak up if you have since you haven't said anything yet on this. Do any of you feel like there was almost a missed opportunity with Obi-Wan in terms of having
they should.
shedding?
I was about to say, should have deep faked Alice Guinness on him, and then
No, that's not what I'm talking about. This opportunity of seeing him dealing or struggling with Qui-Gon's death from before.
this was
I
10
guess-
years later.
Oh, that's a good point.
And we all
yeah, good
know
point.
that you stop grieving.
Yeah, after 10 years.
Immediately.
Yeah, that's a cutoff,
and
right?
Jedi
yeah.
I'm good.
aren't supposed to have attachments, and if you grieve over death, that's an attachment.
Yeah, that's true. Fair.
Did you
that's a
see any
fair
of them
point.
crying at the end of the funeral in episode 1? No. It's because Jedis don't have feelings. At least according
Much
to
like
George
Conan,
Lucas.
apparently.
Yeah.
I cry for him. Ken, all right, you're shaking your head, Ken. Tell me something you actually nodded your head at for this movie.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, why am I even on this show? Okay, Obi-Wan's solo scenes. Every moment we saw him on screen was enthralling and exciting. I'm like, that was the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
Was all the Obi-Wan
Okay,
stuff.
yeah. Was that your classic maker? Did I just steal it from you?
Yeah, number 2. That's what I'm saying. So why am I in the show? No, it's good that we're on the same page. Okay, I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's
Great
where
minds
it's like,
think alike.
I mean, you mentioned about them in scenes together, right? We saw that in the animated Clone Wars. We saw a little more about their relationship. And they're gonna make a Anakin TV show, which is kind of cool, right? To get more of that.
I didn't know that.
But you're right.
Okay,
It would
cool.
be more to see how they've gone from young Padawan up to where they are today. But they couldn't do that. That's another movie somewhere.
Well, I you know what? It seems like they could re-explore that in like an animated series. Like
sure.
like
when
Anakin
Disney
the Padawan
decides to
years or
make more
something.
money, which they always do.
Yeah, you know it. But yeah, okay. So I think we're all in agreement. Obi-Wan was definitely a high point of this film.
Yeah.
Was there something else you liked though, Ken, that maybe didn't make your top 2 since that you can add on here?
Well, it's also the other acting. Ian McDiarmid is Palpatine. the manipulativeness of the actor's a great guy. But the way he plays a manipulative guy, like, oh, etiquette, or I don't want to be the emperor. I mean, I don't want to be in charge. Whatever. Okay, you're the one pulling the strings behind it because you're Darth Sidious. Okay, and of course, Samuel L. Jackson, is always a classic. As played Mace Windu. So that's why the characters, some of the actors they played, the characters were really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of that, especially that one moment where Palpatine is like, but Padme or Senator Amidala is not here. If only someone could, or no, it was him talking with the blue horn guy, and he's like, if only someone could step up and do what she would do, and Jar Jar's right there, and then Jar Jar just goes hook, line, and sinker.
Well, yeah, he's the fool. He always plays the fool.
He's the
Which
Sith
is
Lord
sad.
in cahoots.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, he's the Sith Lord.
He has yellow eyes, so it does line up.
Oh my gosh.
Just saying.
Paul, what's in line for you for something you liked about this
Oh
film?
my gosh. John Williams' score is just so enjoyable in
That's a
this.
given.
I mean, he brought, the main Star Wars music, and then there's even some, what's that one from the first episode?
Duel of Fates.
Yes, brought back Duel of Fates in a chase scene.
The
but
light motifs in Star Wars.
Yes. But introducing Across the Stars, the love theme in this.
That's what it's called.
Yeah. Is played throughout the different way it uses that theme throughout the whole movie.
I'm sure I'm playing it right now as you're listening. It's playing. I'm sure I did that.
Yeah, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
That song kept playing over and over my head after I went to bed that night.
Me too.
Over and over
yes.
again, over again. Like, okay, but it's good.
Yeah, it is good. It has such a great forbidden love quality that I don't know how John Williams does that, because that's exactly what he put into that song.
That's why he's a master.
Well, let's not go. Let's not get carried away with ourselves, Paul.
He's the best. Move along. Move along.
All right, let's move along to our classic makers, the things we loved most about this film. Squids, hit us with yours.
I really appreciated for about 15 seconds this movie. Fine, I did.
15 seconds of this movie is a classic, guys.
It was at least about 5 minutes. Representation of characters with disabilities. That was
where was that?
At the very end, where he has a mechanical hand.
Not the hand. Clegg Lars. He was in a wheelchair.
Oh, yeah. Because he's in sort of a floating chair thing, right?
Yes, I did put
That's Yoda.
It was... Mine was a double-edged, because I went, oh, yes, it's so nice to see characters with disabilities be represented, even if none of our women have agency in this film. But it's fine. So that was my...
that one Ahsoka Tana lookalike had agency in the
Did she say anything in this movie?
She
fought she didn't have
like
to.
A Jedi.
That's how good she was.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Now, what's interesting about it's interesting you bring the Lars up, Squid, because that's actually my first time noticing that his leg was cut off. I thought he was just maimed in some way. I didn't notice that he had his whole leg cut
was
off.
really interesting, because I knew that, and then he was like, when this heals, I'm gonna go after him, and I was when it heals how, bud?
Heals what? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe like a mechanical leg or something, but that was strange.
That phrase just seemed so odd.
Well, Lex Lucas wiped it out at some point,
Oh, like it was there, and then they erased it. MS painted it out.
Yeah,
interesting.
I don't know.
Maybe. All right, fair guys. Fair Squids. Let's go to Ken next. What's your classic maker?
So,
for this
as
film?
a Star Wars fan,
Wait, you like Star Wars? Oh my god!
We should have had you on other reviews of Star Wars.
Not on that Christmas special is awful. Anyways, the having been always like 13, I turned 13 the year the movie first came out, and of course Jedi is always fun. So for me, the biggest thing was actually having a full Jedi battle. As a fan, I always wanted to see Jedis in battle. Obi-Wan and Darth Vader in the first movie was kind of like, not really a Jedi fight, you know? And then even the other one, so you saw with the Darth Vader versus Luke fight, you know? But hey, having all the Jedi fighting together in a battle.
Those droids. I don't know why they let them gang up on them like that.
This was awesome. That's my classic maker.
Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome.
I know that the Force was diminishing, so they didn't have their full powers. So
is that why like some of them were like, and just
and that's why Yoda's struggling to like lift up that beam because his powers aren't as well as they should be.
I never put two and two together with that, but okay. Yeah. I just didn't think about that they were connected somehow. But
they didn't make it a big issue, as big as it should have been.
Well, what was the biggest issue for you in terms of something you enjoyed, Paul?
I really like the Yoda lightsaber duel at the end. I know it doesn't make sense that he goes from a hobbling old creature to this like gymnastic like 5-year-old and then goes back to an 800 hobbling creature at the end of that. But it's fun to watch. And it really gets me excited. Like,
what about it's fun to watch?
The lightsaber duel, how he actually flips it, like even taking it out using the Force, not even using his hand, and turning it on. That. Yes.
Have you ever just like picked up a cat and thrown it across the room? And you're like, that was fun.
Cats.
No.
That's what watching the Yoda fights like. You're like, look at him go.
I just feel like if he's able to spin around and flip around that much, it'd be very easy for him to get behind Count Dooku and like slice his head off or some Mace Windu.
Well, he tried.
Mace Windu style. So I don't know.
He tried, but Dracula's too quick.
Now, he did not say the logics of this scene were good. He said it was enjoyable to watch. So
exactly,
that's fair. All right, and you know what? That's your class maker. Fine. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have a visual aid and an auditory aid. Don't worry, listeners, you'll miss some things, but this is more audio experience nonetheless. So, for my classic maker,
you cheated again. Okay,
well, bring it. I cheated. I did not cheat.
That sounds an awful lot like Star Wars.
It does. Well, okay, given all
Is there sound in space?
Can I change my classic maker to just those like sonic bombs?
Yeah.
So one part of the movie where I went, oh, that's neat. I remember that.
No, see, you can't do that because then you'd be essentially stealing my classic maker.
You still can. Which
is the sound design for this film. And this goes for Star Wars on the whole, really. But I just all the little all the work that goes into making all those little sounds that are so unique and just feel like Star Wars. It's just wonderful. I liked every mechanical bit in this film. I just enjoyed so much. It made me. The only thing I would have liked to have had in there somehow was the pod racer sound. The that's like so good.
There was a couple places where it sounded like a pod race. I was like,
like with the car and stuff, a little bit. I could see that, but
some of the show.
Can I just say, I love the sound design of Star Wars and the music of Star Wars. I feel like those are just on a pedestal of their own. But for whatever reason, this movie had like 2 scenes where I went, "Why that sound?" And it was the scene where Anakin went and saw Watto again, and I was just like, I literally wrote in my notes, "The sound effects in this scene make me want to die."
Is that where the flies are buzzing around? I'm trying to remember what
there's little flies. He like drops a wrench at one point, and it makes like a little whoop sound, and I was like, "Why?
No matter. No dodo. Ay, God.
Why is this happening?" Like they tried to make it comedic, but I was like, I don't. This was so good. It wasn't so good. Let me reiterate.
You're looking for your mom, and she's
Watto again. But okay, yeah.
But there were a few sound effects that they just threw into that scene that I was like, huh?
It was an intern's day.
Yeah, I was like, what?
An intern's day. All right, yeah.
They were like, you're going to practice with this scene.
Films. Yeah, exactly. So that was my classic maker, guys. All right, so now we can get on with the show. Oh, sorry, guys. I know you've come to expect more high quality from me, better production, but I forgot this again. Something else I liked. The Cellcast. The Cellcast, hosted by Jacob and Drew, review animated movies and TV shows, discussing what they appreciate about the medium in whatever form it takes, whether it is a traditional hand-drawn animated movie, claymation shorts, or a 3D CGI series. Check out some animated reviews when you subscribe to the Cellcast at https://thecellcast.podbean.com. I just realized I probably didn't need to say the HTTPS, but whatever, you got the picture. And don't forget that Cell is spelled with a single L at thecellcast.podbean.com.
That's great, friend. See, I can't say your name either.
It's an off night for me.
Not a good name. Yeah. Not a good name. Not a good day for names.
Wow, I appreciate
it's
that.
Contagious.
Thanks for.
We'll just call you Fran.
No, you cannot call me Fran.
All right, so the guys at the Cellcast are great. I love hearing their reviews. But what does that have to do with Star Wars Episode 2: Attack of the Clones?
Come on, Paul. You're a smart one. You get this.
They
all
reviewed
the animated characters in this film. There's all these aliens. Yoda's animated. It's all right there.
Oh, you mean CG animated? That's not on a cell with a single L.
They cover CG animated films too.
All right, I'll have to talk to them.
All right, you do that. Yeah, you tell them you're covering the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
But okay, I guess, you know what? Maybe it's not a perfect one-to-one similarity, so maybe some trivia would be more.
That would help make up for it, yeah.
All right. Did you all realize that during rehearsals and filming of Count Dooku, played by Christopher Lee, his lightsaber battle scenes, a small model of Yoda was used as a reference point for Christopher Lee? The model, however, was slightly altered to have vampire fangs as a joke at Lee's expense for his performances as Count Dracula in Horror of Dracula, 1958, and several other Hammer Studios horror films. So my question to you guys is, what Star Wars protagonist, like one of the good guys, do you think would make for an interesting vampire bad guy? So like they went from good guy, bad guy, and they're a vampire now. But they're still the same Star Wars character. So Obi-Wan's still like bad Obi-Wan, vampire, what have you. Let's start with Ken. Who would you like to see flip like that?
Well, until you mentioned, I already thought of Yoda before you mentioned it and putting on that, but I thought Yoda would be interesting to be, I want to suck your blood.
He already has pointy ears.
Terrifying.
He does have that, yes. Okay.
It's like a vampire gremlin.
Oh, yes, yeah, like a vampire.
Oh, yeah.
Don't feed me after midnight. Awesome. Squids, how about you?
Okay, I hope it doesn't have to be from this movie.
No, it can be any Star Wars.
Okay, because I thought of Din.
It does have to be from the Star Wars universe.
Yes. Okay. I thought of Din Djarin.
I don't know who that is.
Mandalorian.
Wait. I haven't seen Mandalorian. I've seen a few episodes.
Okay, that'd be interesting.
I was like mentally going through a list, and I was like, he'd be a very interesting bad guy as a vampire. It would be very Castlevania to me. Which, if anyone's watched Castlevania, he would just be like, I'm going to live in my castle, leave me alone. If you come in, I'm going to kill you.
Very good, very good. And Paul, how about you?
It's funny because I also picked a character that's also in The Mandalorian, and that's Osaka.
I almost thought of her. Yeah.
Yeah, but to have Anakin's Padme Padawan, not Padme.
That'd be different.
Boy, I never realized how close those two words were.
They are, but yeah.
But to have his Padawan to be a vampire, that might be interesting.
Awesome. Yeah, very, very cool, guys. Awesome.
What about you? Wait, no? Sorry.
No.
My bad.
No, you're fine, Ken.
No.
No, don't.
It's okay. If you didn't
fine.
ask, I was gonna, so.
That's sort of the joke, kind of. I'm trying to get Paul to say, great trivia, Francisco, but no.
Sorry.
That's the joke.
I blew the
He waits. It's like a resurrection of the old new tubes where I'd say, what's new on your tube? And then then Paul wouldn't ask me, even though he was supposed to ask me.
So what's new on my tube is last night I saw the Shang-Chi 10 Lord of the Rings guy.
See, this is why you need other
great.
guests on the show, because we're all going to be nice and ask.
Except now I don't want to be asked.
Well, you've already been asked. Ken already asked you. What's your pick?
I've listened to your podcast enough to. I should realize these things.
No, see, Ken, you should play it off as I know these things, and that's why I'm doing this to you, Francisco.
I'm not Paul.
That's fair. You're not Paul, and I'm glad for it. I'm glad you're Ken. I'm glad you're Squids. I'm glad you're Paul. And
I almost had to play Paul this evening, but he showed up.
Yes, that's true. Yes, but
It's a long
went
story
fine.
you don't want to hear.
Paul got to be Paul. Yes, I'm thankful for you too, Ewan. Okay. For me, the person that I think it would be fun to be a vampire, that's a good guy turned bad guy, is C-3PO. I think that'd be pretty comical.
That would be.
Especially if he tells puns. Like, what a drag.
Yes, exactly. Very punny vampire. And don't ask me how a robot's a vampire. It's just go with it, people.
Yeah.
But
great trivia, Francisco. I like your
thank you,
answer.
Paul.
And speaking of answers, I have the answer to our previous audience question, which again was, what is the best Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, in your opinion?
Kindergarten Cop.
Kindergarten Cop is an excellent one.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
Yeah. Ken answered The Terminator, among others he mentioned.
Terminator.
Yeah.
What's the one with the dad?
Jingle All the Way?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was
he's
thinking
a dad.
True
He's a dad in
Lies.
Commando too.
Yeah.
So.
I'm glad that you knew where I was at.
the dad of Anakin, of course.
Yeah.
But here's this episode question, which is, if you could be any Star Wars character for Halloween that you haven't been before, if you already have, which would it be?
Ooh. Awesome, Paul. Send your answers to trivia at retrorewindpodcast.com by the time we record our next episode, which gives you usually a week and a couple days, though during Sci-Frights, you have a little bit more time than that. But now that we have all had some trivial fun, let's find out what memories you, our awesome rewinders, had about Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Drew Dodgen says, I hate sand. It's coarse and rough and gets everywhere.
Steve Hamilton says, Camino was and still is one of the coolest places in the Star Wars universe. It's like a Minecraft type of world you can get lost in. They literally had whole clone armies inside on a planet made up of water. Don't overlook the fact that they did it in secret for decades and cloned the best bounty hunter ever.
Was he really the best ever? Because he got beheaded pretty easily.
Yeah, he died pretty fast.
And then his son got digested over 1,000 years.
He survived.
Spoilers, I don't know these things.
Well, dude,
never
you've had
died.
The
time.
Mandalorian, I can't help you, okay? Sorry.
You've had time.
You had time.
Next you're gonna tell me that Cat picks up Thor's hammer in Endgame or something. Jeez.
You still haven't seen that, have you?
I still haven't seen it.
Haven't seen
moving on.
Endgame yet. I've seen it twice now.
I got a lot to say
For the
about Marvel
Ken.
movies too.
Stanley Wright says
Stan
so
Lee?
many thoughts.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He wrote in.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is.
So many thoughts. The battle that started in the stadium, ahead of the bounty hunter, the desert battle. Wow. Oh my gosh. Who is this?
Yes, hey guys, how you going?
Brian. Hi, Brian.
Yeah,
What do you
I'm
want
getting
now?
tired of not calling you. It's been a while, so I'm making up for lost time.
You called last time, Brian.
Yes, I want to know about this Star Wars.
No, it's Star Wars. There's lots of them.
Oh, what? I thought you were talking about X-Men Go to Space.
No, that's something completely different.
I don't know what's going on, but this is going off the rails.
Well, then why don't you go, Brian? You're the one who called us.
All right, bye.
Patrick Edwards says, almost completely unwatchable, save for a few end battles. Why don't you tell him what Kevin Joshua Burnham says?
Fine, I'll do that. While in my opinion, it's one of the worst Star Wars movies, it is the first Star Wars my brother Daniel and I watched in the theater. Mom made a deal with us, something I can't remember what, and gave us an option. Take us to a sit-down restaurant, go to the beach, or go see Star Wars. We didn't give it a moment's notice, and since at that time I was nicknamed Skywalker because of my love of Star Wars, we made sure we wouldn't go do anything to screw that up. While we absolutely hated the exceedingly boring love story, we loved the lightsaber battle with Yoda. Yep. The whole freaking theater all screamed with excitement and applauded. In fact, I think it was the first I had ever heard an audience applaud at a movie. It did have some cool moments, but if there's one thing I can say as a fact, George Lucas cannot make a romantic movie. Sorry, man. Now time to go wash off this coarse sand in my shoes.
Whoever that was, I like them.
Yeah.
Kevin Joshua Burnham, the Diaper Man. That's who that was.
Yeah. Dustin Warford says, worst love story ever.
Wow, guys. Wow. Jawari says, it's been 20 years. Dang, I'm old.
Wardell White says, finally saw it on Spike TV when that was a thing. Every Saturday for a good while, Spike would showcase either Star Wars, Indiana Jones, or the first two Nolan Batman movies.
Oh, really?
When they finally got to Attack of the Clones, it was the first time I had seen it or the later movie. I was digging the Clone Wars on Cartoon Network. If we could do without that Jar Jar Binks, I think the prequels would have been a little more watchable, including this film.
Oh, all right. Fair. Cater Tot 5 says, Natalie Portman's abs. All right.
That's what she remembers. Nathan James Norman says the purple lightsaber.
Indeed, which apparently I was reading trivia that George Lucas had said, no, there's only blue and red or blue and green lightsabers for the Jedi. But Samuel L. Jackson was like, I want mine purple. And so I guess George decided, yeah, we'll go ahead and do purple. So now we have a plethora of colors. Michael Fraley says, Anakin, they're animals, and I slaughter them like animals. I hate them. Padme. Okay, I dig a guy who's into massacres.
Almost, yeah.
Well,
David Garner says, I think it's a decent bridge from Little Annie to Darth Vader. Also, Christopher Lee as Count Dooku, awesome.
LJ Lowry says, I remember standing in line at 9 a.m. in the morning it came out with my family. The prequels get so much hate. This one is underappreciated. All right. Ashley.
Wow. Ashley Crowenbitter says, all of the glorious memes that came from this wooden performance of Hayden Christensen. A bad movie made a little more interesting through his acting. It was one of the first movies I saw on my own as a young teenager. I always remember my initial excitement and later disappointment.
Wah, wah. Dave Bobke, that's our Baba, says, I believe the guy who wrote the screenplay also wrote an episode or two of the Young Indiana Jones thing you made me watch.
Indeed. We'll get more on that later. And Jeff Weber says, they're all bad, but this is probably the worst of the three, despite the benefit of a greatly reduced Jar Jar presence.
Wow. So that, I think, was the most negative overall of any of the feedback we've ever gotten on this show.
It's all over the map, but yeah, a lot of bad stuff.
You know, when you get to my age, you respect and enjoy the fact that someone took the time to actually make episodes 1, 2, and 3, because I thought they would never happen. And when it came out, I'm like, yes, it happened. Guess what? Enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Yeah. And we can do that.
I tried. They make it real hard.
Not many people can, or not everyone can, I should say.
Well, that's why I'm so appreciative that we have people across the spectrum here of Star Wars fandom to discuss this film. But let's get into things we didn't like so much like a Jeff's comment. Let's spin up our
Worst 3.
Or worst 2 things in this case. Let's go with Paul first. What's something you didn't like or didn't appreciate about this film?
Well, there's a lot to talk about and dislikes with this film that we've just mentioned from these other people, but I'm going to go on a subject that
other people. They have names, Paul.
Yeah, we just read a whole list of them.
Oh, I thought you meant squids and cats.
No, I mean like a lot of people.
We haven't.
But I'm going to talk about something that hardly. All right, go ahead. Apologize. Go ahead. Take it a moment.
I'm very sorry for interrupting you.
Really?
Much like you interrupt me.
Yeah.
But I am sorry because that is not my role here.
That's not typically how apologies should start.
Well,
anytime it has a butt in it, it replaces the first one.
I'm very sorry that you feel that way.
Yes.
More apologies are going to come in a minute here. Okay. Paul, go ahead. What's something you didn't like about episode 2?
all right. As I was saying before I was classically interrupted, I'm going to talk about something that's hardly ever talked about, and that is the whole idea that this is a film and they're in the process of making film. The director and the cameraman use different camera moves in order to tell a story. Some of those camera moves make it more compelling, but what happens here, and at least one of this really bothers me. It's what I call the mouse in the cat's mouth routine. You ever watch those old Tom and Jerry's where Jerry's inside the mouth of Tom and he's about to take a bite and he takes forever and then he has enough time to get out? You're like, why do that? It's like there's...
I mean, I hate Tom and Jerry. It's coarse and it gets everywhere.
Yeah, that's not even the line. It's I don't like sand. It's not I hate sand. All right. If you're going to misquote it right. Anyway. But okay, so in the factory, they're surrounded by all these droids.
Yes.
About to open fire and on our 3 heroes, about to kill them, and then the Jedi are casually walking up and debating, and it's kind of like, do you know what the part I'm talking about?
No.
It's
this
right
is on Geonosis, right?
Yes. Okay. So after, and this is not even worth going into all this for, it's ridiculous. So after, when they're tied up to the poles and then the animals come after them. Okay. Yes. And then they escape all that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is before the Jedi come. All the droids are starting to surround them and they're about to fire. And then here comes Mace Windu casually walking up. The droids aren't firing. And here comes some other Jedi walking around. The droids aren't firing. They're just taking their sweet time and they're not firing. It's like, come on. What's going on?
Because they have to be commanded to because they're droids. I thought that was the issue. Yeah. Count Dooku hasn't given
I'm sorry. Those 3 were there to die. That's the whole point.
Remember he was telling the Great Federation guy,
later.
Don't worry.
That's
don't
later.
Worry. No. And it's like, are they supposed to die, right? He was like, wait a minute. They'll get there,
Yeah, he hasn't. All
right. What I'm saying is that they're pausing for dramatic, and it just makes it worse.
Yeah. Paul, the Wi-Fi was out. Okay, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi,
okay. Fine.
I mean, it's the same thing when Padme's like in the bowl.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, that's what I was talking about. The camera moves, and you. Yeah. There's a fakery where it's like, oh, you think lava's going to be poured on her? No, fool you. I'm just a liar with my camera.
Oh,
yeah. I'm there with you because this ties very much into my #1 tragic maker. So I'll talk about it later.
I can't wait to hear that. It's probably better than mine.
But I am curious, all the love Ken has for this, what is something you actually didn't like about this film, Ken?
All the CGI.
Oh, really?
The worlds are beautiful. It was gorgeous.
Yes.
But you could see cracks. I mean, that's the one thing about any movie, and you watch it when it first comes out, it looks beautiful and wonderful, but over time, it gets a little worse for wear, so to speak, And I know that was one of the issues we had, so much CGI. Like, I mean, that's why, J.J. Abrams was trying hard to have the actual physical sets, and you can see how beautiful it is. Force Awakens is with all the sets and the way they did. So it's just so much CGI,
Yeah, there were CGIs that I noticed on this watch through that I didn't before, like when Padme fell out of the thing into the sand, and I was like, "Why is all of this CGI?" They're not standing in sand. I don't.
Yeah,
what's
I noticed
happening?
A lot of the shadows looked really like very digital, and
some of the steam looked like it was like very much in the foreground and not 3D moving through the set.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. That's fair, Ken. For whatever reason, a lot of the CG didn't seem to bother me so much on this watch, and usually that type of thing does. I didn't look real, so maybe I just chalked it up to, this is the cartoon portion of Star Wars, and that's okay. But I don't think I was expecting it to look real.
It was definitely just those weird CGI movements. Not like obvious half these people are fake, but it feels like they're standing on something that could have been real.
Do you, for sort of comparison, is there a movie that has a lot of CG now that you think does it really well that's hard to tell?
Pixar.
Well, I mean, Force Awakens is a good example. It's a good combination. It has CGI, but it has also practical sets. I think that's what makes it work well. I mean, over time, maybe we'll see the cracks in it. So when I first saw this movie in the theaters, right, you didn't see any cracks. I have seen this movie a couple times, even on DVD. I didn't see any cracks, and like this time around, watching it on Disney Plus, I felt I could see the cracks, maybe because I've heard so much about it that made me think about the cracks.
Yeah. I could see that sort of seeping into your viewing experience for sure.
Well, I haven't rewatched it recently, but I would think Avatar. That's one that is being beautiful, and I know most of it's fake. So
yeah, I could totally see that being the case because I haven't seen it since it first came out. So
it's a fake movie.
Great. Squids, what was maybe something that was really fake about this movie for you, so much so that you didn't like it?
Well, I don't know about fake, because if it was fake, it would probably mean everyone was actually acting, and no one did in this movie. So that's...
Oh, wow.
So I will preface this by saying Ewan McGregor's in my top 3 favorite actors of all time.
Oh, wow. That high.
Of all time. He is in some phenomenal films. He's a fantastic actor. I have seen
Star Wars 1, Star Wars 2,
all of the Star Wars movies. It's the only thing I've seen him in. I like many of the actors in this are in movies where they have phenomenal performances. And watching this, I was like, I feel like they just all got together on day one and went, what if we just don't act?
Oh, wow.
Like, what if we just all show up and we read this script and this script was horrible and we're going to deliver it the way that it was written? Because the dialogue
that's their
in
job
this...
as actors, is
the dialogue in this film...
If you are suffering
it's hard.
as much as I am, please tell me.
Yeah, there was nothing subtle in the movie at all.
I think we need to get Ken to redo this movie. This movie has to have Ken in the Anakin role, because that was much better.
The only decent line of dialogue I wrote down came from a puppet, so...
Oh. Was that a Yoda or one of the other ones? Okay.
The Obi-Wan lost a planet. How embarrassing.
That was good. That was good.
So one time I was like, that was a good line.
So I'm going to ask you, similar to Paul or similar to Ken, what Star Wars film would you say has amazing dialogue?
5, 1.
Yeah.
Well, I guess because I think
thought
the
I
original
smelled your foul stench when they brought me aboard.
Is the best. The best one is the first one. Episode 4
for dialogue. Episode 4.
It's just classic at this point. I mean, you start doing I don't remember. I'm not very good at remembering lyrics of movies or quotable quotes from books. That's why I have a hard time remembering scripture. So I can't really. But episode 4 is always what comes to my mind. But again, I love it so much. So
yeah.
Well, it's kind of like everyone still quotes "I love you, I know," but they do it in a way that's like, yes, what a good delivery. That was perfect. And to have it repeated later. Everyone repeats, I hate sand. It's coarse and rough, but they do it to be like, yeah, sand. Like, they're not like, that was such a good line. They were like, this made it into a movie.
Like, yeah. Interesting.
But I also like some of the new ones too, but I don't know that I would say any of them have like phenomenal dialogue.
Okay. That's totally fair. Then that leaves, let's see, me with something I didn't like, believe it or not. I know, it was completely surprised I didn't like something about this movie. I really disliked it, and you guys have made mention of it. Anakin and Padme's romance, it seems to go from like
what
zero.
Romance?
to 100 to 0 to 5 to 100. It just like goes all over the place in terms of, I mean, he's like way stalker level attraction of her, like at 100 the whole time, but she seems to vacillate so much. Like really into him, then not, then you make me uncomfortable, then, oh, let me kiss you. Oh, we shouldn't have done that. Just make up your mind, please.
No. Not we shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that.
Oh, it's
a very important distinction.
Remember, excuse me.
I only say that's important because it's her taking the blame for him kissing her, which I think is...
Well, she let him.
Yeah.
Is what she was apologizing for, is the way I took it.
Coming home when I met you all those years ago. Days gone by where I haven't thought of you.
You can tell that a man wrote this film, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. I believe you.
Men can write romance.
Sure.
Look at the Terminator.
Sure they can. George Lucas can.
So that was my tragic maker. The love story of Anakin and Padme. I know it had to happen because you got to tell the story about where Luke and Leia come from, but it was not done well. And the fact that he was this short 10-year-old kid. She last saw him. She's like 6 years older. Okay, so 16, right? And then all of a sudden, so he's been pining for ever since. Fine, that's creepy. Okay, but then it's like he's assuming that she was like, "Hey, look, I'm a man now." It's like, well, that's nice. I give you a little boy. Eventually, I guess you are a man. Whoa, it was like, and then you had to go from, like I said, 0 to 60 to get to the relationship, so they can actually have by the end of the movie. She's pregos. There you go. Guess what?
Well, that's at the end of another movie.
At the end of this movie?
Yeah.
No. She's just married at the end of this one.
No, I thought in the movie they actually mentioned that she was already pregnant. Maybe I'm missing. Sorry.
She might start off the next
It's either
one
right
that
at the
way.
end or like beginning of the first one or the next one.
I didn't see a bump or I didn't hear
did watch
anything.
episode 3 right after this, because, so I'm
That's where you messed
It's definitely
up.
like, because she has no agency in the third movie, so.
Yeah, but my transformation was the love story. It was like just terrible. I mean, I know they had to happen. I know they had to show it, but it was like, it's like, oh my gosh, she could have done a better job with this. I mean, it could have been a Romeo and Juliet better. I don't know. Facebook definitely did it better. Okay, so never mind.
Yeah, oh, go ahead, Swizz.
Oh, I was like, I could see it going 2 different ways, and I would have been fine if it did either of them. But it tried to do both of them, which is to say that it would have been just as good if they did full romance for both of them, or if they had showed him as the power-hungry person he was going to be, and really pushed that abusive level of it, where she is pushed into this. But instead they do like an in-between where it's like, oh, I love you. Now you're angry at me? Oh, I love you. Like, and it's wishy-washy and lukewarm like everything else. So
yeah.
I mean, sorry, Anakin won.
Haven't you felt that way about somebody? No. Not that I hate you, but it's like I'm really into you and now I'm not, and like, oh, that's weird. Oh, and I forgot about your murdering spree because I'm really into you right now.
Yeah, but it's not
that I've been attracted to.
But to feel like that, they would have to justify the romance more, and they don't show her feeling that.
Right.
Yeah. I would have. So yeah, going to what this is, I guess. Francisco's Fabulous fan fiction is fabulous.
No, but there's where your subtlety is. Someone was saying that there's no subtlety. That's where the subtlety is.
Yeah.
It was so subtle, I missed it.
Yeah.
I was going to say...
Go ahead, fabulous person with your fan fiction.
I think if they had where Anakin had almost, in a way, forgotten about Padme, and played it as like he now is. Oh yeah, I do remember you a bit, and then
have her into him.
Yeah,
instead?
have her into him because he saves her from the worms and stuff. I think that would have been a bit more natural. Or again, what you said, Squid. If he somehow coerced her, like he was gonna like do something to Naboo or one of her friends. If she didn't go along with their relationship. I think, that would have definitely played into. I think that would have made him less likable, though, at the end of Return of the Jedi when he.
Oh, was he supposed to be likable?
Yes, I love that part. Don't go against me, Squid, on that. That's so good. Right to the sun.
Wait, are you telling people they can't have their own opinions?
You can have your own opinion. I like
Anakin could have told Padme and.
All right, let's get to...
Did you notice how many changes of clothes Padme was in.
She had a ton, yes.
I kept writing it down. Like,
she don't pack light.
Every single freaking scene, she was worth something different.
It's funny because they're like, you need to travel as refugees, and she's like, and I brought all 16 of my outfits.
Yeah.
And Anakin is saying,
"Her Royal Majesty's luggage."
I'm in hiding so that people can't kill me no matter where I go.
If I change my clothes, they'll never find me.
Oh my gosh. I think that leaves our tragic makers, the things we had most, though. Let's see, Ken, you just said the romance. So let's continue on with that. Squids, and someone mentioned in the chat, I've been saying squids this whole time. I thought it was squids. Is it squid? Let's clear that up now.
It is squid, but my name on Twitch is Squids Muses.
Maybe
so the squids is at the beginning of it. But it's just because I can't put an apostrophe in a Twitch username.
Then my apologies for using the wrong name this whole time. I'm sorry. Squid, what is your tragic maker for Attack of the Clones?
Yes. Well, it took me... Okay, so I had to watch this movie twice, which maybe is why I'm so upset.
I watched it twice, too. But once with commentary.
Oh,
go for it.
That would be maybe more enjoyable. I don't know if it would be.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. My problem is that I fall asleep when I watch movies. And I do this. I fell asleep in a movie theater once. So it's...
I've done that too.
Just without fail. So I got about halfway through it the first time, and then I was just like, oh, I'll start over. It's fine. And after watching half of it, I was like, why is this movie making me so angry? It's like, what is it about this movie that I'm so upset about? And I realized that about 2 weeks ago, I just watched Treasure Planet.
Oh.
Now, Treasure Planet
I can't remember if I've ever seen that one or not.
Yes,
I
the
have.
Disney one.
I want to see it. It's one of those that is great. If you were ever to have a podcast and you go back and watch movies again to see if they're worth re-watching,
sign me
a great
up
one.
for that one.
Yeah, because that's one I'm dying to know about.
So, and it's because the scene transitions in Treasure Planet are some of the most beautiful works of film that I can think of, just in general. The opening scene of Treasure Planet transitions through scenes in such a beautiful way. And I realized that there are no scene transitions in this movie. It is just a collection of scenes that don't matter.
Oh.
Wait. Oh, I thought you were talking about the swipes.
The wipes,
Yeah, well, that too. I mean, they're just like, next scene. Next scene. And I was like, there is no finesse. There is there's no cinematography in this movie. There's no like film. They just put a bunch of scenes back to back to back. And so many of them.
Yeah.
I think so many of them don't matter. There are so many scenes that I picked out while I was watching that went, this does not bring us new information. It does not further the plot, and it's not entertaining. So you can't even justify it being there for the fact that it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
But most of the ones that are fun to watch bring no new information and don't further the plot. So you get good sound effects and you get sound design and you get pretty images, but you're not getting a movie. And I think that's what I dislike about this so much.
Oh, that sounds familiar. Francisco, you should appreciate that.
Curious, Squid.
Yeah.
What is your take on Monty Python and the Holy Grail?
I was thinking the same thing just now about the whole collection of scenes together. I didn't want to mention it.
Would you agree that that's not really a movie and should be classified as a tragic
sorry, folks who are listening to this. This is not Star Wars.
It's a classic. It's a movie.
Full confession.
Don't listen to these guys. I
have only seen about 5 minutes of Monty Python, and I don't want to go back.
All you need to see. That's probably all you need to see.
Just
to know that it's a tragic.
I appreciate their shorter skits a lot more.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. But
I was about to say, Squid, that actually goes into my tragic maker in that
we finally don't like Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I'm glad
I thought we're talking about Star Wars Episode 2. Mr. I love Monty Python so much, I want to talk about it whenever I can.
I do not at all.
That this movie is really long. And it's just, I think it's too long. And if they had cut down what the Squid was talking about, I think it would have helped it be much tighter and much more enjoyable. But some of the pacing, for example, Obi-Wan is calling, help, I'm on this planet, I need help. And Padme and what's his name? Dang, I can't even remember Anakin's name. All right. They're like, hey, we're going to go rescue him. Meanwhile, because the other Jedi won't get here. Cut to the other Jedi. Hey, let's go into this boring Senate meeting and where Jar Jar is speaking. And after all that of the Chancellor is in power, then Mace Windu's going to see if he can round up a few Jedi to help Obi-Wan out. I mean, they got a momentum, and then it's almost purposely putting in blocks to stop it. Almost
the entire factory scene.
Hey, so you all who are like, oh, this movie's too long. Oh, this stuff could be cut out. Can I tell you how you can mitigate this? What you could do to help with this?
Not watch it.
You watch it at double X speed?
Not quite. No. You kind of touched on this, Squids. You go in and out of sleep while you're watching it, and because I don't remember a lot of what you guys are saying right now.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if your review should count, because you have to actually watch the movie before we review it. It's a requirement for this podcast. I remember there being a lot more Senate scenes, but I don't remember seeing them. I'm like, where did these Senate scenes go? I did actually I was really falling asleep at the very end during the whole Jedi battle thing. Are there other things missing in your life? Are you blacking out? How did I get in this vehicle? What?
No, I'm not a Cylon. Okay. No, the thing is that it sort of leads into my Tragedy Maker, which is I just did not really care about anyone in this. And I wanted to. I didn't care about Anakin or Padme. I didn't care about any of the Jedi Council. I cared about Obi-Wan mostly. But even him, I'm like, I didn't really care about what happened to these characters. And I wonder if that's a byproduct of, so many of the core characters in here are surviving on. There's no stakes to any of them. Obi-Wan lives. Anakin lives. Padme lives long enough for her to have Luke and Leia. So, and Yoda lives. There's so many characters that people generally love, and Star Wars. It's not about
whether they live or die. It's about the journey, how they got there.
That's fair. Okay, but
this
then you
is
have
why
to
I
make
like
the
Rogue
journey
One.
more engaging. Yeah, Rogue One's great. I really like Rogue One. And you didn't like it, Paul? What?
I'm trying not to spoil Rogue One.
So it's not about if they make it or not. It's the journey. They don't.
Oh. Well, but see, there's stakes because you don't know what's going to happen with them. Whereas I feel like that may have influenced, at least for me, my engagement with these characters.
Yeah.
So
well, I think, Paul, you said it at the beginning too. Maybe it was you, Ken. I don't remember who said it, but someone was like, I saw the new trilogy or the new ones, which is made me appreciate the prequels more. And it's like, this movie's still bad, even if other movies are worse.
It does have its bad, yeah, but
Jedi battle.
It does have a Jedi battle, which
fine. It was fine.
Well, but Squid, did you grow up wishing you could see Jedi's battle? Was that a big thing for that? You're like, oh, I wish I could see this.
I grew up watching Jedi's battle.
Okay, so you had it, whereas Ken,
I was living the dream.
Yeah, you were.
I grew up with the second episode of Star Wars.
Ken, he got to. He was there, when God carved the commandments into the tablets, and so he's been waiting for so long
for a
Jedi battle.
Yes.
I'm
George Lucas back in the day.
I'm so sorry that you waited so long, and that's what you got.
I wish it had been better. I was happy he actually made the movies. Okay, that's why I'm happy with they made 7, 8, 9. I understand the flaws in all of them, but I appreciate the effort and I enjoy the movies because it does bring the Skywalker saga to a conclusion, and what I've always loved about it.
And
as a concept, they're great.
Before we conclude this section, I will say that, people don't go looking to make a bad movie. Everyone from the caterers to the people that make the sets, to the people that make the CG.
Yeah.
Almost all the people that work on film are wanting to make something that good, wanting to make a form of art. So they're not usually set out to make something that people don't like. So hats off to everyone who worked on this, who gave their heart and soul into this. And we're not trying to rag on you, but as a cohesive unit, let's find out how we rate Star Wars Episode 2,
Cohesive
Attack
unit,
of the
we
Clones.
hope you made better movies after this.
Firing solution complete. Rating salvo at the ready. On your mark.
Alrighty, do we rate Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones a classic? We'd recommend anyone go see this film, whether or not you've seen it before. And I think we're going to say it. We assume you've watched Episode 1. You're not coming into this movie by itself. So a classic is everyone should go watch it, whether or not you've seen it before. A nostalgic, if you enjoyed it as a kid or enjoyed it growing up, then it's worth a rewatch. It'll still bring back those good feelings you had growing up. But if you've never seen it before, probably just take a pass on this one. Or a tragic. It's not worth anyone's time. If you've never seen it before, keep it that way. And if you have seen it before and have fond memories, don't sully those memories with a rewatch. So let's start with Squid. What is your final rating for Star Wars 2, Attack of the Clones?
Well, as someone that's seen this movie multiple times growing up.
And so you predicted nostalgic. Did it change or stay nostalgic?
No, don't watch this movie. Don't watch it.
So it's a classic is what you're saying.
Yeah, and it should stay there on the shelf. Just up there.
Don't touch it. It's so classic.
So classic. It's so delicate. Don't pick it up.
But the music.
Get the soundtrack.
Good.
Get you the soundtrack of Star Wars.
Good point.
It's in my head right now. It's a problem, you know.
Yeah.
There you go.
The soundtrack, great.
But for real, that's a tragic for you, Squid?
Yeah.
Okay, tragic. Ken, how about you? So you had predicted classic. Did it stay there for you?
So I was listening to the last episode you guys did with Conan the Barbarian, and one of your guests made some comments about, classic nostalgia type stuff, right? I go, hey, you're right. So I was leaning toward nostalgic, but I said, no, it's classic. Even if it's the flaws it's got, it's a classic movie because you got to watch it because it's part of the Star Wars saga and get all of the Skywalker saga in there. So classic again.
Classic for you. All right.
You got to go see it.
Okay.
Wow.
If you haven't seen it, go see it.
Ends of the spectrum here.
Paul, where do you land on that spectrum?
I struggled with this because I predicted a classic. And it is a Star Wars movie. It has lightsabers and it has action and it's fun in parts. But because of what we talked about, I'm gonna put it down to nostalgic. I don't think if you haven't seen this that you need to see it. But I wouldn't call it a tragic. It's not as, for me, it's not as bad as some people
Monty
say.
Python and the Quest for the Holy Grail. Yes, I agree.
No. But that's me. I say nostalgic. So, Captain, we have the full gamut for you.
Yeah. Man.
This is what I mean that he cheats. He saves himself for last and that he makes the weighing decision.
It's okay. My vote wouldn't have changed if I was last.
as if he has any control or power,
It's the illusion.
Mutiny.
I am the Senate. Wait, that's next episode.
I am the Senate.
If only there was someone who could take Padme's place.
Get to my rating, guys. I am gonna, unfortunately, this was a slog for me to get through. Like I said, fell asleep.
You didn't even stay awake for it all.
I went back and rewatched the parts I missed, except for the Sand part, which I don't know where that was.
You fell asleep again.
Oh my gosh. But it wasn't, other than, I love the music, I love the sound design, but that wasn't enough. That does not a movie make. So for me, I'd have to rate Attack of the Clones a tragic as well, which I'm bummed because I know people like Ken really enjoy it and other people like it. It's a sad tragic for me, as opposed to a very uplifting and joyful tragic for Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
There it is. He likes to talk about it.
I went into this hoping I would appreciate it as a nostalgic treasure, and I didn't.
Oh,
that's fair.
That's sad.
Well, like I said, I was watching it, and I'm like, I was ready to rate nostalgic, but then I was watching halfway through it. I finished listening to your last guys' podcast, and one of your guests said something that really hit me. I go, oh, that's right. Back to classic. Okay.
So you were listening to something else while watching this movie. That
in between
say anything?
the movie. I was watching the movie. I listened to the podcast. I finished the movie.
Okay. So you didn't watch it in one big... Okay.
If you had watched it from start to finish, I tell you, it'd go down in the rating.
Well, according to our rating, Retro Rewind Podcast rates Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, a highly disputed, tragic film. We would recommend no one go see this, whether or not you've seen it before. But, I mean, if you are a completionist and trying to watch all the Star Wars, then you do, watch it, of course, but otherwise
But only
don't.
watch it in machete order. The proper way to watch Star Wars.
Yeah.
I thought it was Machinima. Is it Machete?
Machete.
I can't remember.
I thought it was
Regardless.
release date.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, let's get back to our own time. Good old 20XX.
20XX!
Comsat online. Receiving incoming transmission.
You meet a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Oh, we're back.
We are back in our own time. Not too long ago. In the present, in fact. We're at now. Oh, goodness gracious,
Sounds
guys.
Like good old 20XX to me.
It feels good to be back, but we wouldn't have been able to travel back to 2002 to begin with if it weren't for our amazing reflux capacitors, namely Jared Holzhauer, Deborah Powers, Brian Keane, Patrick Hicks, LJ Lowry, Chris Cowan, Chris Owens, Geek Devotions, The Untold Podcast, James Kennison, Drew of the Cellcast, Ashley Cronenbitter, Pastor Dewson, Kenneth, oh, he's right here. Woo-hoo! Redeemed Otaku, Ryan Lingle, That's Our Bobo, Josh Adams, D. Tungsten, Andy Lewis, Jeff, The Dapper Man Reviews, Tony of the Retro Days, and Mr. Lost, in addition to 9 other awesome patrons as well. Thank you all so much for keeping the gigawatts coming. And if you want to help keep us flying for as little as $1 a month and get bonus content for your generosity, head over to retrorewindpodcast.com/support to help us grow via Patreon, Subscribestar, or PayPal.
This stream is sponsored by PaulJPowers.com.
And while we're thanking our supporters, we also want to give a big, terrific Star Wars hug, the originals, not the prequel or the sequels, because those are the best kind of hug, to our guests for coming on and supporting us with their thoughts about Star Wars Episode II, Attack of the Clones tonight. We like to start, or at least I do, in alphabetical order. So let's start with Kennethan. Where can people find you online, and how can what do you got going on that people should know about?
Well, I'm a Twitch streamer, so you can find me at Twitch, /Kennethan. I'm also on Twitter on Kennethan Live, and I'm a Star Wars fan, and I love doing different things. I love playing MMORPGs, and so me and some friends do a show on Tuesday nights for that. I've also been fortunate to be on Hear Me Out with Super Shadow and Mr. Tato. And also we have another show on GMA channel called Agree or Disagree. And so you can find me there also, the Godmo Activated, Discord, and in those places too. Thank you.
Great. And Squid, thank you so much for coming out and joining us. Where can people find you online? And is there anything cool you got going on that people should know about?
You can find me on Facebook if you figure out how to spell my name. Good luck. I won't spell it for you.
Is that just SQUID?
Yes, that is the one.
Sweet. Easy.
I am on Playing Games with Strangers, which you can find us on Facebook or on our website, Supersonic Pod Comics, or on the street if you live in the Chicagoland area.
Ooh, nice.
But you got to catch me. So.
Are you a Pokemon?
No, I'm just very fast.
Can be, you'll never.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Like the gingerbread man. I am a redhead, so
wow.
Naturally run away from everyone.
All right.
Thank you so much, both Squid and Ken, for being on this episode of the podcast. Really appreciate both of you giving your time. Even though we were conflicting about what we thought about Star Wars, really appreciate the both of you sharing your thoughts.
It sounds like we all like Star Wars in general, though.
And a hearty thanks to those of you listening for the first time. And of course, all of you who are a part of our Rad Rewinder community. You all who watch us live every week, whether we are recording this podcast or playing retro games, are an amazing group of people helping sustain the pod. But if you are looking for ways to get involved in growing this Retro Rewind endeavor, reach out to us on social media, where we are at Retro Rewind Pod pretty much everywhere. buy some of our merch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser, become a monthly patron, or simply just share your favorite episode of the podcast with a friend. I mean, maybe you love Star Wars or love hearing people talk about Star Wars. So, and you know a friend that does as well, share this episode with them.
But, maybe don't if they love Star Wars.
I see what you did there. Yes, I suppose that's true. We have other Star Wars episodes. Share one of them. The Christmas special one, maybe.
No.
There are worse ones out there.
You can, but regardless, we want more people to enjoy the content of the Retro Rewind Pod.
Die, Jedi gods! What did I say?
You have been listening to RetroRewindPodcast.com/234, our review of Star Wars Episode II, Attack of the Clones. With me as your XO, PaulJPowers.com. You can find me online on all my social media links at PaulJPowers.com.
.org.
Jeez, I almost had it.
This is not .xxx. Okay, that's good.
That's true. I'm glad it's not that. Thank you for being an amazing friend for another fun voyage, Paul. I have been and continue to be Captain of the Pod, Francisco Ruiz. And find me on Twitter at FXRetro_, especially if you need pixel artwork commissioned.
Captain, we are on our final approach to base. All salvo authority has been granted to land these droids and the ship and the new clones and our guests.
Permission to buzz the tower. Wait, that's a different movie. Never mind.
Give a Ghost Rider. The tower is full. Thank you, XO, and thank you all for listening. We pray you are more joyful now than when you first hit play. But like a Pokemon, we gotta catch you all there for the Addams Family, our next episode of the Retro Rewind Podcast.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Retro Rewind mission complete. Proceed to nav point Omega and return to base.
Hey, Captain, maybe you want to buy some death sticks.
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks. I want to go home and watch young Indiana Jones!
Then it is something that man was not meant to disturb. Trust me.
Are you making this up as you go along? Yeah?
You don't believe me. You will, Dr. Jones.
Mission accomplished.
Full throttle.
No break.
Those people are trying to kill us.
I know, Dad!
It's a new experience for me. Happens to me all the time.
All right, guys. Yes, it's time for another installment of our Young Indiana Jones series as we work our way through the whole series. In between our reviews of the Indiana Jones films, all three of them.
Still skull.
I think that's a fanfic someone made up. There's actually 3 actual Indiana Jones films. Anyway, Paul, why don't you give us the technicals for this episode or this outing of Young Indiana Jones?
All right, The Adventures of Young Indiana Jones, we watched this time is Chapter 19, titled Winds of Change. It combines 2 previous episodes. One was Paris of 1919 that first aired in 1993. And then it took parts of Young Indiana Jones Travels with Fathers at the end, and that came out in 1996, and put it together there. So do you want to give us the plot in one sentence if you can?
I will try. Okay, so this episode is about Indy hearing about the League of Nations and then going on to fall in love.
Did you fall asleep again?
No, I didn't fall asleep.
He went home.
I'm just trying to remember.
He went home and fell in love.
And went home and was estranged from his dad.
On the boat, he fell in love, yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah. And he had hot dogs. So
all right.
That's it.
Okay.
All right, so let's go around and say what's something we liked about this installment of Young Indiana Jones. Let's start with Ken this time.
Something I liked?
Something you liked. You're a classic maker. It could be of just one part, both parts, something that
I'm a history guy.
Both.
I love the history stuff, okay? I love the fact that, oh, look, it's the League of Nations. It's a Treaty of Versailles, okay? And how they say, guess what? Next war is coming up. Like, well, of course you can say it in hindsight, but people did think the other war was coming. Then you got like, oh yeah, look, so you're going to help this guy out in his lab, Dr. Goddard. I'm like, freaking A, seriously? And of course, hey, my best friend, Paul Robeson. I'm like, wow. A lot of historical people, right? But it was like interesting. So that was part I liked about it, was all the history and the historical people they brought into it, and including Paul Robeson's speech as valedictorian of Rutgers.
Oh, that was an actual person.
Yeah.
Oh,
Singer.
I didn't know that.
He was an All-American. He also was a singer for many years. Okay, and he did that speech, at Rutgers when he was valedictorian. So yeah.
Oh, okay, very cool. Now, did they have him in one of the child episodes?
I don't know.
Paul, I didn't recognize.
I don't remember him as one of the child ones.
Okay. All right. Because that just seemed out of left field. Oh, yeah, we've been friends all the time. Okay. Why haven't we seen you before? But all right. Squid, what was something you really liked about this installment? Ken, let me backtrack a little bit. Ken, had you watched any Young Indiana Jones before? I don't recall if you've done this for the show.
Yeah, we did. For the Star Wars Christmas special. Where he was over, he met Albert Schweitzer over in the Congo that went, that time.
Oh, right. Okay, thank you. Squid, have you ever watched this series before?
I have never, and based on this chat, I'm getting the idea that no one wants to.
Well, we'll get into that.
We'll get
the vibe I'm getting.
But what's something you liked about
unequivocally loved this entire episode.
Really?
I wanted to, I loved it. I wanted to go and watch the entire, everything.
That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It is my kind of TV show. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Was there anything about it that stands out that you would like?
I did write down notes. I even messaged Francisco yesterday. I was like, I have not had time. Things came up. I haven't finished this episode. I was 15 minutes in and I was like, oh man. And then I sat down at work today, don't tell my boss, and watched the rest of it. I was like, this is so good. I want to watch more.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My favorite thing, though, it'll be my number one, was every scene between him and his dad. From the moment he walks back in the house and says hi, I was like, I've never watched any other episode. I've seen the movies, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
And so the first interaction you see with Henry Sr. and Jr. here, it's the most interesting part of the entire episode. And I could have turned it off and written literally fanfic about it. That was probably novella length. Because I was like, these are two men that have two entirely different love languages.
Yeah.
And they're not communicating them to each other.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they explicitly say it later when he's like, you picked me up and hugged me? That was the first time you liked me. And his dad was like, I've been spending time with you and giving you things your whole life.
Yeah.
I was just like,
oh.
It was so good.
Yeah, that part definitely pulled at my heartstrings. Oh, guys, can you just figure this out? Because this is so hard to see. And I didn't.
I love that they don't
continue.
They don't ruin that at the end. Because as he walks away at the end, you're like, oh, go tell him. And he doesn't.
Yeah,
it's not his character.
Yeah. And it wouldn't make sense for how it goes into the movie. Yeah, for Last Crusade. Paul, what's something you really liked about this?
All right. I like, there are several things that, okay, this is going to sound weird, but like Ken, I really liked, I thought it was fascinating how they portrayed the end of World War I negotiations and the trials, just from historical perspective. I found it interesting. I also like the return of Indiana Jones' girlfriend. I'm trying to remember her name, the actress.
Yeah, was that when they stole the power converter or something?
Yeah,
it was blamed on the oil company, but it was actually
the German spies.
Yeah.
Okay. And she had the baby. That was good to see her again. Lively, not Blake. It's her. It's her half sister.
Oh.
It's the Karate Kid's not girlfriend in Karate Kid 3.
Oh, right.
And the sister from Not Quite Human. But anyway.
That was a lot of references.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember her name. Anyway. But it was also good to see Indiana Jones' dad again. I was glad that they brought him back at least one more time.
Yeah. Oh, do we know if this is the last time?
It probably is the last time. I don't foresee him. I didn't foresee him coming back this time. So that was really cool to see him again.
Gotcha. So that would be none other than Robin Lively.
The Robin. Sorry, Robin.
I knew it the whole time. I was waiting for the primo moment, not me looking it up. No, I don't go in for that.
What I found interesting is that when this first aired, when it was called the Chronicles of Young Indiana Jones, they had this was later as a movie. The Young Indiana Jones Travels with Father was one thing, and the beginning part was the Athens, and the second part of that was the last half of this. So they were together in one episode before.
Oh, interesting.
I was wondering if that was actually a scene.
Remastered all this to make it more in the timeline.
Oh, weird.
So did you guys watch the one in Athens?
Yeah, we did that because that was in episode 4 or chapter 4.
Yeah.
So go back, watch chapter 4, and it'll show you the first half when they were kids and that adventure in Athens.
I'll just be crying in front of my computer.
Yeah. Oh, you got to start at chapter 1 so you know that how it builds up to that.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, the thing I liked most was I thought it was cool that there's that big book for the tree. I thought that was kind of cool.
Big book for a tree? Did you fall asleep again?
The book was massive.
For the treaty. I also heard tree.
A treaty.
It's like a book tree. We were watching different movies.
It was a massive book. Was that how big the whole treaty was?
I have no idea. Why does it have to be that big? But it's pretty cool to see the big book.
Well, they had a lot of demands. And they did thing with flares, back then. Like, hey, this is a massive moment in history. Let's make it massive.
Sure. We'll go with that. So, yeah, that's my like. Now let's get to the things we didn't like about this.
Wow.
I got this one.
All right.
I got this
great.
one.
Go ahead.
When the opening credits plays and I saw Lucasfilms right after finishing Star Wars, I wanted to cry.
Wow.
Nice.
That was it. That was
it?
It just got better from there.
Yeah, like really? We started at the bottom and we got up. So
set the bar just so low that Squid fell in love with the series. Wow. Good job, Attack of the Clones.
The only thing I really put down is that some of the dialogue was very heavy-handed, but otherwise.
Agreed. Ken, what's something you didn't like?
I don't want to rain on Squid's parade there, but
that's okay. I rained on your Star Wars parade.
Well, what got me was, having watched, Star Wars, I couldn't help but seeing Anakin while watching Indy. The acting really is acting. He was trying to be emotional, and I'm like, the whole episode had terrible music, okay, through the whole thing, okay.
No joke.
And it was all historical. Nothing out of Indy was like he'd be like this, staring at President Wilson.
Yeah, it's not his show.
He's trying to show.
It's just his observation, at least at that point. Yeah.
He's trying to be. Yeah, his whole thing with his dad, right? I'm like, what? I mean, I had shades of Anakin and Hayden Christensen trying to act in Clone Wars in this one.
Interesting. So they sort of merged for you as well.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, and I also hadn't realized to me, I call it how preachy the show was. Okay, I get that. I mean, a lot of things. I mean, I'm glad they did history right in certain expense. I mean, obviously, World War I was a tragedy in the way they did the piece. We saw what happened after that. World War II. I don't know if it was that if anyone really saw it for what's going to happen. Okay?
Well, just that one character.
They knew.
And I like the fact that they put in there that the German guy said, I must remind you that when the German armies marched home, they had never been defeated in battle, so to speak, right? They didn't lose the war. They basically said it's done because they could see that time was coming when the tide would turn and then the Allied armies would push to the east and then we lose, so they kind of gave up. But the Anakin thing is just like, oh my gosh, this wooden acting and liking. And the other thing is like Widow Wilson's speech, right? He was like, Jesus didn't have a plan.
Oh my gosh, I hate that so much.
I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? If Woodrow Wilson, if he really said that, okay, he's already a racist and an idiot, okay, but if he said that too, he's even more so a guy that needs to be shoved down to the bottom of history, okay, for what he's done. Never mind. Sorry.
Okay. But thank you. I had forgotten my trash figure. No. No. Only that this, to me, and again, this is raining on Squid's Parade, I suppose, to go from the last episode, which felt so Indiana Jones, it felt very akin to the movies,
the treasure
to
of
this,
the Peacock's Eye.
where it's, the Peacock's Eye, to where it's just like a bunch of people talking. And
it was a lot of
Indiana
people
Jones as like almost like a observer, so that we can see history play out. I just was not enjoying it at all. So it was just like, okay, we'll get through this. Glad I have a 2x speed that I can go.
I told you the captain's a cheater. Watching this at 2x speed.
Well, all right, Paul. You know what? I have bad qualities. What would be the worst quality about this episode of Young Indiana Jones for you?
I wish I saw this at 2x speed, because at the first 5 minutes, I thought at least 10 minutes had gone by. And when the in the middle of the episode ended of the whole... Yes, the first half is all about political talk, and it's not an indie film. You're just... looking it through the eyes of a character called Indiana Jones who's just observing, and it's fine it's interesting by itself, taken out of the Indiana Jones context. It's interesting, but in it's just, I thought that thing was 2 hours and it was only 45 minutes that first half.
If they produce stuff that well for like history classes, like history educational videos, that'd be great, but no.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is the adventures of young Indiana Jones.
It is the Chronicles.
Well, the Chronicles first came out. This is the repackaged, and it's supposed to be Adventures, is what it is. Okay. I know the title which you saw it from said Chronicles, but there's a whole history behind it. Anyway,
I did a lot of research about it afterwards, because I was like, where can I see more?
Okay, cool. Anyway,
awesome.
So that's the first half. Second half.
Oh, 2 halves. Okay, here we go.
Him and his father. I said it was alike. I did not like how they handled the father. And Squid, I'm sorry. I don't like subtlety, because subtlety goes right beyond me. Like, here's how I wish they could have done that character. First, I thought it was atrocious that the father said, don't ever talk about your mother. That's his mom.
Yeah.
That's his mom. Like, yeah, it may have been your wife, but that's his mom. He has a right to talk about his mom.
Yeah.
Especially as a grown man. I mean, or even as a kid. I mean, that's just uncalled for. Mm-hmm. Second, at the end, it would have been... this would have made it so much better. But when Indiana Jones said, no, I'm not going to Princeton, I'm going to go to Chicago, I'm leaving, bye. And if the father said, see... That's what I'm talking about. I lost your mother, and then I lost you, and I didn't know what I was going to do. So I chose to focus on my work, to turn away my feelings, to turn it off. And as soon as you get close to somebody, you get hurt. And that's what you guys left, and I was hurt. Now you come back, and I'm trying to not get close to you because I'm going to get hurt. And then I let my guard down, or give you, he doesn't have to say I give you a hug, but then now you leave, and now I'm hurt again. Something that explains why the connections don't work,
I think I wrote all of that down when I was taking notes.
Yeah, it's like if they had the father just say a few sentences right at the end that says, look, this is why I don't get close to people.
It would cheapen it if he said it. I think it would cheapen it.
I have to agree with that, because the fact that we saw the one with Sean Connery, right? It changes.
But it doesn't line up with the Sean Connery's a little bit more lenient, a little bit more lighthearted.
Yeah,
from what I remember, I haven't seen it in years.
Yeah, he is about older though. Okay,
the way they left it with the father in Athens, I thought was great. It could have went right into the movie.
I was going to mention something that sort of plays off of how this is portrayed versus how Last Crusade is portrayed, but I'll save that because I'll save that for Last Crusade.
Okay. Why? Have you seen Last Crusade recently?
No, I just remember vividly. It's my favorite Indiana Jones film. So Of the three of them, Ken.
Okay. Temple of Doom, though.
No, right? Temple of Doom is great. I actually found a new appreciation of Temple of Doom watching it for the podcast. But number 3, well, I don't know. Maybe when we rewatch it, it won't be my favorite.
Yeah, there's no short round.
It's not that I liked Crystal Skull. I just enjoyed a movie that had Indiana Jones. It just wasn't that great.
I hear words, but I'm having trouble comprehending. Anyway.
I dare I say, I think I'd like Crystal Skull more than I would like Attack of the Clones.
Ooh. Whoa. At least Attack of the Clones actually exists. Anyway,
and I remember not liking it the first.
Let's go back to Chronicles of the Adventures of Indiana Jones. Based on our experience this time watching it and any previous ones we may have had, would after watching this episode, would you want to continue watching this series? Squid, I imagine I know what you're going to say, but go ahead. Would you continue watching based on this episode?
Yes, I would.
Awesome. Ken, how about you?
You know, see how old I am? How many more years I have left in my life? I want to waste it.
You're a spry.
I don't want to waste it on things
You're
like
ageless because you're like Santa Claus.
I only had
just lives on forever.
I watched it with the Albert Schweitzer one with you guys earlier, and of course, when I signed up to do this episode, I had forgotten the pain of watching that. And I forgot that. Oh, that's right. We're going to do Indiana Jones again. Oh crap!
Wah.
But hey, it was good because I said I liked it. I liked the way they at least tried to make the World War I, Treaty of Versailles, and the League of Nations look realistic and understand what's going on in the cultural thing, and the way they screwed over King Faisal because let's go take a map and like this is France, this is Britain, which is basically what they did. They didn't really go about tribal areas, everything else, right? They did literally, and of course, they lied to King Faisal and said, "Well, I'll give you something." Okay, it's like.
And the settings. The settings are always great in this.
Oh yeah. It's very beautiful.
Oh yeah, true.
It reminded me so much of watching like MacGyver growing up. Where it's like the acting's not great, but like, boy, I want to see it.
That's fair. That's fair. Paul, how about you? Would you continue watching?
If this was my only episode, I wouldn't watch. I wouldn't want to watch. But I've seen all the others, and I gotta
finish them. How many more you guys gotta do?
3. There's 3 left.
3 left
after this one.
Okay.
And the next one is the one.
I will have to go with my EXO here and say, I would have no inclination to watch more, but we've been mandated to by the powers that be, so here we are.
No, but after watching like the previous episodes, there are enough good ones in here for me that I'd want to watch it on. Continue watching it on my own.
That's very fair. All right. Well, thank you all for continuing to experience this with us. I am kind of liking that we did do this, Paul, that we made this decision to cover all these episodes and seeing how that flavors the movies. That I will give you that. But for Ken, for Squid, for Paul, and for myself, we bid you all a whoopah.